Twilighters, merriest of Christmases to y'all. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I want to share with you some messages that I've gotten today on Christmas. The first one I got right when I woke up was my dear friend Bob Waldner. Great fan of the channel. Wonderful person if you know who he is. Well, God bless you. You're a lucky motherfucker. Bob, we love you. I know you're doing the right thing right now, busting your ass, keeping shit together over the holidays, taking care of everything we love. Nicely done, sir. Thanks for the first message this morning. The second came from someone who'd been a deadly enemy of mine and kicked me unconscious and left me for dead in an alley with his friends in 1986, 87, right? And we're so close right now. We've been very close friends since about 2004, 2003. And he came back into my life making my first film. And the love in my heart for him and his family, our daughters are friends. We've broken bread so many times. We've been around the world together. So many great things have happened. My point being, hang in there. Hang in there with life. People will very much surprise you. There's so much love out here in this universe. Can we just really cut it down for a minute? Could we enjoy this Christmas spirit we're having right now with our children and our families? I dipped down here for a moment to share a cup of coffee with my new family, the Twilighters. Because I've been made grateful by another family, the Manson family. Let me tell you something. This story, this allegory, has taught me more about trying to be a righteous brother within a family structure, the role of brother, and then now as the role of father has come upon me. The role of man to woman. Bread earner, breadwinner to dependent. When your woman takes care of everything and you're basically disabled financially, your career is over for a while, it's a very humbling thing when your woman steps up, if you're that lucky. So these things are to all be remembered and considered during this beautiful season we're having together. We're going to have some special stuff for you coming up on Twilight with this Christmas episode, where we read some different things that have happened over the years to different members of the Charles Manson family as they've become known. It's going to be a fun little episode. Please stick with us. In the meantime, for me, I was recently gifted a really nice Christmas present. Okay? So I zero in on the word Christmas. Look at me. Do you see that? I call graphics, people. So this is an article when papers were 25 cents. And it comes from the Daily Mail, Christmas Day, 1987. And I bring this up because Christmas means a lot of things to a lot of people. And in my heart right now, I'm mainly trying to express gratitude. I'm glad to be married to my just most wonderful, most gorgeous, ass-kicking, driven, strong woman, my dear sweet wife. Just foundation, bedrock. We have this wonderful child. I am constantly floored with her. So this gratitude comes into my other relationships, and it can be a bit much for people because I use old language. I use old feelings. I am not of this 21st century with the high-buy shit. My feelings require semantics. My feelings require bedrock. And that's a lost thing with people. People don't keep their word. I'll tell you something. This lady here, very much known for keeping her word. I'm going to read this article to you in keeping with sharing Christmas stories that have happened to various people that were within the quote-unquote Manson family. Now, we read some on this episode coming up, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. But in the meantime, we're going to step back to 1987. Different time. We had a Bush in the office. We had a lot of things going on. We're in Alderson, West Virginia, and it's at a women's prison facility. And one of their most high-profile inmates has flown the coop. This woman has escaped. She'd been previously in a near docile state. Model prisoner, very easy to work with, and all of a sudden she was gone. The hunt for escaped Manson disciple Lynette Squeaky Fromm expanded, with authorities saying the would-be presidential assassin could be headed to Washington, D.C. or California. They were afraid for the president's life. The sitting president, Bush. They thought maybe she was going to go on a political assassination spree somehow. At the same time, federal officials said they have received multiple reports that Frommie has been sighted in other areas, including 2 reports in Pennsylvania, hundreds of miles from Alderson Federal Prison for Women. You can see this has been highlighted. This is really, really neat piece. Frommie, serving a life sentence for trying to kill President Ford, slipped away from the prison Wednesday night. Prison officials at mid-morning said a search continuing today had turned up no sign of her. From what I understand, there was a coroner, as there were multiple variations of this coroner, with a couple of fences at the Alderson facility for women, and Lynn simply used her body and the structure to find herself on the other side of the fence. Now, there's a lot of different speculations behind why she did this. I'd love to hear more about it directly from her, but my understanding, she got one of those feelings, man. Lynette Frommie is so cool and fascinating because I gotta look around. I'm here by myself and I'm looking around. Why is fucking Lynette Frommie so cool? Let me tell you, man. She'll just do some shit, bro. That woman will get a thought. That's why when people say these things and they don't understand the character of these women in this case, the thought came to be. Brother, I've been married to a redhead for some time. She's my lifeblood. I wouldn't have it any other way. Made a baby with her. It's the most powerful statement in the universe I could come up with. When a redhead who's pure begins to formulate a thought, there's nothing more powerful. Period. And that's why it's such a fucking high. So apparently, the thought came to Lynn that she needed to find Charlie. She hadn't heard from him. There was rumors of cancer. I don't have an insight into what she thought was going to happen. If she was, I don't know. But on the spiritual side, she needed to be there. She needed to make the effort. She needed to be close to Charlie. And, bro, if that isn't the coolest shit, fuck the rules. I don't have a plan. The outcome is likely going to be terribly negative, but I have to shoot my shot. I have to make my gesture. Fuck. That for me is what it's about. Frommie serving a life sentence for trying to kill President Ford, as we said. About 100 officers scoured the rugged area where rain was falling and temperatures were in the 50s. Now, I've been told that she huddled creekside, that there was a road to follow, that there were various signs and creeks and rocks and different formations and natural elements to understand, to be a part of. And she apparently was quite exposed. Like, she had a coat and that was about it. And so Ron Burkhart, who was the warden at the time in 1987, said sooner or later, I'm confident we'll get her back. In the world, there aren't very many places for Lynette Frommie to go. That's the other side why she's so fucking cool. Okay? What do you do with that? Merry Christmas. I'm Lynette Frommie. And there's nowhere in the world for me to go. You will find me. I am here to be dealt with. And called Manson disciple for the rest of your life, as it is here in the article. So the warden, Ron Burkhart, has said about 10 2- and 3-person search teams would continue the hunt. We're going to stick with it as long as there's hope. She's still in the mountains. It's so easy to secret yourself in this terrain, which she did. Federal and state officials said they have received several reports that Frommie has been sighted and are investigating them for verification. At this point, we're getting reports of sightings and spurious reports in many different areas, said an official. So then there's more pages to this to check out. But for me, the highlights of this, the handwriting, very cool. I think, again, we read these accounts, we read these books, we read these stories, and we're being goal-oriented and good students and good Americans, and we keep it moving. But if you slow down and you think about this woman who's been through so much and done so many infamous things to be, I'm not going to say small, but this humble, to bring her existence, again, down to the bone, down to potentially nothing. You're in prison. What do you have? Well, you're going to give whatever comfort, whatever seniority, whatever you had that was good in your little environment, you're going to sacrifice it all for what can be deemed as a suicide mission, much as her drawing down on President Ford 12 years earlier was. And you got to understand, this had only been 12 years after her alleged attempt on President Ford's life. This is very dramatic stuff, people. And this is in a big time paper, and they have a national manhunt going for her. And then again, we see here Frommie's life solitary until recent surprise escape. After more than 10 years in prison, Lynette Squeaky Fromme, considered a permanent resident of the Alderson Women's Prison because she was serving a life sentence. She preferred a quiet, solitary life, according to prison officials. But from a disciple of mass murderer Charles Manson, escaped from the Greenbrier County Institution sometime Wednesday night, apparently acting on impulse. We had no reason to suspect that she would attempt escape, said Martha Jordan, who was the executive assistant to the prison's warden. She was a quiet person, interested in the environment and interested in nutrition. Maureen Atwood, the associate warden, said an inmate reported seeing the 39-year-old woman about 8:50 p.m. walking outside towards a garbage dumpster. Bed checks began at 9, and Fromme's disappearance was discovered about 9:30 p.m., she said. Of the prison's 975 inmates, Fromme was considered among the least likely to escape, Atwood said. My impression of her was that she was institutionalized. Atwood said that people like that get... Oh, wait a minute, excuse me. Let me start over here. People get like that when they do a lot of time. Their world shrinks down to this. But it looks like we were wrong about her on that. Prison officials said a self-styled environmentalist, Fromme appeared to have few contacts within the institutions. But there was a fence line and fewer on the outside, and then it continues. But what a great, we've seen this photo, perhaps, but I don't know that I've seen that. God, look at that look. I will leave you with that, Twilighters, and some thoughts about being true. If we can love our families the way Lynn loved her self-styled family, the way Lynn loves people to this day and stands up for what she believes in, even under these diminished capacities with her freedom truncated, she's legally barred from participating in any environmental groups. A lot of her passions have been truncated and removed from her life, yet her spirit remains strong, and she's still herself. She's still red. She's still a badass. And let me tell you something. When you read things like this and you take it all in the context, you begin to understand the meaning and the spirit of Christmas truly. She believed in this world. She's believed in her own spirit, the feelings, and I was going to say teachings, but I think that feeds into this negative connotation of Charles Manson. Her holding of him. She is his vessel spiritually to this day. And she holds him in great aplomb and great spirit. And when she speaks on Charles Manson, it's a powerful thing expressed through love and admiration. And her learnings and her wisdom and everything that she's suffered to bring forth to us is the exact spirit of Christmas. And I stood up because I was going to grab her book. I didn't have to go anywhere. Why? Because I keep it so close. My copy is quite worn. And I can open it to any page. And my wisdom is there. My friend is there. My advisor. My soul guardian. I recommend You look around yourselves, Trilighters, and you see all the love in your own life, and you begin to manifest. The word kindness just beat manifest out right there. It's a kindness that will manifest itself in your life if you look at these materials. For me, this book has really changed my life. And if you can study her voice on videos or different things as you read Reflections, if you do not have a copy of it, I will almost send you one. I just cannot say enough about it. Read that book. Take her videos in. Try to hear her voice as you read. You must slow down. I'll read you some passages from her book here in the future on the channel. And I want to try to replicate her cadence, because the way Lynette Fromey speaks is a salve to the soul. And I want to wish her the merriest of Christmases from the deepest love in my heart. To you, Twilighters, I want to express the same love. I am doing this for you. I'm doing this for you because of the gifts I have received that I may not deserve. I'm trying to thank the people who have helped me in the most backwards and strange of ways. And I want this for you. I want you to study these things. As long as you're here researching, why not take the time to personally run some of your own feelings through these filters, through these teachings? You have a favorite Manson person, right? You got a crush on Cappy, whatever. Learn about Cappy. Listen to her voice. There's recordings of her out there. Learn her way. Listen to what she would say. It'll do so much for you, I promise you. And that's what I want to leave you with. I want to leave you with love. I want to leave you with gratitude, because I have a lot in my heart. And I want to thank Lynn on this Christmas day for being so brave that cold night when you sheltered yourself underneath your coat that first night from the elements, cold, not knowing what you were going to do. If you remember that stuff, Lynn, I hope you know we respect and we admire you, and we're with you in our hearts in the past when you suffered so, looking for love. That is Christmas. Follow the star, Twilighters.